But I think with Sauce Gardner, I think he's still a little clunky in some areas, so he still needs work to me.
I would never consider a corner for a top 3 pick.
I want to know your thoughts. 1, on Jared Goff. 2, are you considering a quarterback this year? And 3, do you believe the Lions can get a quarterback next year outside of the top 5?
I don't think Malik Willis is a first-round quarterback. I don't have Malik Willis anywhere near that.
Brad Holmes has every right in the world to miss on 3, 4, 5 picks this year, and I could care less.
Good morning, guys. How are we doing, man? I'm excited. I can't believe we're already a day away from the draft. This has went so fast. I'm pumped, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Look, let's just get into it. You spoke of the draft. We're all excited for it. You're obviously all dappered up in Lions gear. Walk me through your ideal scenario tomorrow. Picks 2 and 32. No trades. No trades, Dion. What are the 2 positions you want to walk away with where you're feeling good about this team going into this year?
Yeah, that's funny. I know last time we were on here, we were talking about the safety position, and you were definitely not down with it. There was I think a couple weeks ago, I was going to text you. I forgot to text. I was going to text you because I was like, man, I really don't think the Lions are going Kyle Hamilton. I put out this video. I was like, I really don't think they're going that way. But my ideal scenario, if I'm walking away, I can't trade back. Well, my ideal scenario would be Aidan Hutchinson either falls to 2 because the Jacksonville Jaguars decide to pass on him. We get that run-stopping defensive end that we don't have that we really could use. If that doesn't happen, I'll even give you the second scenario. If that doesn't happen, I'm taking Jermaine Johnson with the 2 pick out of Florida State. And then I'd come back to pick number 32. And I think this is where things really open up. I know we've been hearing a lot of Lewis Cine chatter. I think you could go a lot of different ways with this one. I'm a little hesitant with taking a linebacker here, putting that 5th-year option on a linebacker especially. I know Nakobe Dean may not make it much further than this, so if you want him, you better go get him. I just know one year the Rams did not work out very well. They had a linebacker, first-round pick 30. Alec Ogletree wasn't there very long. So there's that little concern, but I think Lewis Cine, if it's a safety like a Lewis Cine, I'm a big Jaquan Brisker, Nick Cross guy as well, though. Wide receiver, I think, is on the board, too. Like, if we're going to go receiver, Christian Watson, someone like that. And I've been on Christian Watson for a while, so I'd love to have him in the building, but I'd probably look at safety and linebacker next up, and Dean would be high on that list, and maybe a wild card cornerback could be thrown in there if there's like a really lockdown. But I think I'd wait a little bit longer for that.
Fair enough. Dion,
I'm just curious, why are you I don't want to use the word scared, but you're passing on Thibodeaux at 2 if he's available.
Yeah, I could see the Lions taking him at 2. I think it's really coming down to those 3 guys. And for me with Kayvon, if the Lions do take Kayvon, I'm going to be more excited because the questions that I have about Kayvon from watching the games that I have, and it's not what he can't be. It's just a little bit of questions about how raw he is right now, where he's at in terms of as a pass rusher. But I know the upside is extremely high. We talk about, of course, to get off the anticipation that he has off the line is incredible. And I think he has such a high upside with his length, with the ways that he can win as a pass rusher. It's just about knowing whether or not he's going to put that work in, off the field. And, of course, he's going to become that. And he may become that. And if the Lions take that pick, it tells me that they believe he's going to do that. And I'm even more excited about it. For me, though, with Jermaine Johnson, he's grown on me. First thing with Jermaine is I think he's a much better run defender right now, hands down, and we could really use a run defending edge defender where Romeo's not great at it. And I know last season that's where we got to get better. We got to get better in a lot of areas, but we really got to stop the run first. And I know Jermaine's going to come in immediately make us better against the run. Where Kayvon, the best way to play against Kayvon right now a lot of times is run towards him. That's not to say I don't think he can be better, but it is just something right now. And then I think what you saw with Jermaine throughout the season is the improvement as a pass rusher. You saw him do some good things, just like Kayvon. He was obviously outstanding again, but he improved as a pass rusher. Then you get to the Senior Bowl, you see him dominating 101s where the Lions are there. Then I get him at the Combine running with linebackers. His 10-yard splits a 1.55, and you're just like, dude, this guy's got all the athleticism there. So he's grown on me big time, but I'm not against taking Kayvon at 2.
Fair enough. Dion, I do have to say, I'm glad you've moved off the Kyle Hamilton train. But you know what? Sauce Gardner is the new fad here in Detroit right now. A lot of national media at least giving it coverage that the Lions should consider Sauce Gardner at 2. Look, I have a complete different philosophy when it comes to secondary players. If I need to address the trenches on the defensive side of the ball, that is what I'll do always before I ever look to the secondary. What do you think of Sauce Gardner? I think everybody in the room at least believes he'll be a very good player. Is that what the Lions need? And do they have the luxury Dion, of taking a corner, let alone a secondary player at number 2 overall this year?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I like the way you worded that because, I mean, we know we got holes in a lot of places. You're right, though. Sauce Gardner has been a name that started to come up a little bit, definitely recently as that guy that's been thrown in there. And now we're seeing Stingley's name start to rise a little bit. I think Stingley's very unlikely just because of the injuries. It's hard to take another cornerback that's played 10 games in 2 years. Even though his ceiling could be higher, you see him as a freshman with 6 picks, and you're like, dude, he's in the SEC doing that. But I think with Sauce Gardner, he's intriguing because first off his size for a guy that's that long, that tall. I think he's still a little clunky in some areas, so he still needs work to me. Obviously, competition is going to be thrown out there. He's had some good games against some good competition, though. But that's going to be thrown out there. He still needs a little work, but I think, yeah, when you're looking at that 2 pick, I think it should be something you consider, especially if you move back, depending on what edge is there. They move back and Hutchinson's gone, Kayvon's gone, or whoever their number 2 was. And I'm not mad at peaking at corner, but to me, it's probably got to be the edge spot because when I look at cornerback, and I don't know what you guys say, I'd love to hear your thoughts, but when I look at cornerback, I think, okay, I'm not really sure exactly what we have, what the potential of this room is, with of course of Kuda, coming back from an injury, Iffy last season who improved so much, Amani coming off a career year, Jerry Jacobs playing as a top corner in the National Football League, Mike Hughes really hasn't played in the league yet, so you take all that and then you look at edge and I'm like, okay, I feel like I have a better sense of what we have here. And the fact is it just hasn't been good enough. But Julian Okwara is taking steps. But that's an area where just based on Holmes' history in the past, I mean, I think you got to look there with the first pick. That's where I'd be looking. That's where I'd be the most excited.
See, here's my thought about corners. I'd like to have them. Yes, they're important. But the NFL is doing everything it can to take corners out of the game. To me, there's no such thing as a shutdown corner anymore. Used to be, but now the rules have changed and they're benefiting the wide receivers. That's why they're getting paid this much money. That's why you got 1 million wide receivers that's going to be taken in the first round. Now, if I had the 12th or 13th pick and I had a pretty decent team, I would consider a corner, but I would never consider a corner for a top 3 pick because they just, that position it's almost like the dinosaur. It's like, we're going to set up so these guys can't do what they could 20 or 15 years ago. So I would definitely pass on Sauce or Kyle Hamilton, anybody with the top 3 pick, particularly when I know that if you can rush an offense, you can make your secondary look better. And that's the way I would go if I were the Detroit Lions or anybody else in that position that needs help on defense.
Absolutely. I mean, I would just peek at the Rams, and you could see that, right? I mean, it's like, okay, they had their Jalen Ramsey, so maybe the Lions like, we should go get our Jalen or our Marshawn Lattimore that New Orleans had. But again, we don't really know what we have in the room, and maybe we have that in Okudah. Hopefully, I have no idea. But you're exactly right. I mean, you got to stop the run first to get him even into passing downs, and we're still struggling with that. But yeah, if you just look at the Rams, I mean, obviously Aaron Donald's an outlier, but it's just like, let's just build through the trenches. And our number 2 cornerback is this guy that's like 5'9", but that's because our defensive line is so darn good. We got 7th round picks playing at safety, 6th round picks playing at safety. And we already saw, I mean, that's our defensive coordinator's specialty. Our defensive coordinator, what he's good at, he understands is the back end. I think Aubrey Pleasant's one of the best at it. What they showed us last year, they don't need to go that high to get talent. They don't need to.
Absolutely. And you know what? This brings me to my next point, Dion, and I want to bring this up to you and get your feedback and your reaction to it, is the Lions should, and not only the Lions, Brad Holmes has every right in the world to miss on 3, 4, 5 picks this year, and I could care less. You know why? Because the Oakland Raiders, 2016, 2017, 2018 at the time, Oakland, by the way, missed on every single pick they had in those 3 draft classes. And in 2019, they pulled out Josh Jacobs, they pulled out Jonathan Abrams, Hunter Renfrow, and Max Crosby. It can be done. And what the Lions need to do, and last year obviously they brought in Penei Sewell, Lee McNeil had a ton of snaps. Levi played okay. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown was the breakout player, but they were good players that you can build around. And if Brad Holmes has another draft like that, great. If he misses on the number 2 overall pick, Dion, fine. It happens. Since the year 2000, 52% of the players taken at number 2 overall have hit. That means there's a 48% chance that tomorrow we are fucked. Does that make sense?
That's a tough way to put it, man.
It does, but you can't miss on 5 guys when you're 3-13-1. You can't miss on 5 guys when you're the Lions and haven't won a playoff game since 1991. He's got to buck the odds, or else not only will you have a bad team, but you're going to lose the confidence of this fan base. They'll be like, damn, he missed on 5 guys and he had all these high
If he
draft
gets
picks.
2
You can't
starters
do that.
every draft, I would be very, very okay with that. Dion?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't know the exact percentages, but you're right. I mean, I feel like, most picks don't pan out. And when you're even looking at, like, obviously the Patriots stuff, they don't do well drafting. But even when you look at the best teams drafting, usually the percentages of guys that stick around or, our hits is, like, usually around 50% or lower. So you're like, yeah, it doesn't hit that often. And last year was a good draft. Yeah, you said Levi's the guy that's got to step up to me. Obviously Barnes, he's still learning the position, so that's going to be one. But we did get a lot out of last year's class, which was great. But I do think there is it is important that they do find success. I mean, it's always, again, it's tough, but they do find success in the draft because of just the way that, they're putting a lot to me in the draft of we're plugging holes. We're doing things like that. We're giving guys shots in free agency. We're trying to open up the draft. That way we're not forcing positions, that we're just taking who our best player available is. But they've said it, we're going to build through the draft. So yeah, I don't think they need to hit on every pick. And if they do miss on 2, which would be terrible, I hope not, because I'm gonna be pumped up whoever it is at 2 tonight, or tomorrow. But if they do miss at 2, I mean, yeah, I guess it happens. But yeah, I think they need some playmakers here. And defensively, definitely need some playmakers. Offensively, I think we're actually not in a terrible spot. But defensively, need some playmakers, and that backup offensive tackle would be nice too. We gotta keep throwing it in there. Brad Holmes might be listening. I don't know.
Absolutely. Look, 2019, I'm just saying with the Raiders, they missed on Farrell at number 4 overall, Josh Jacobs and Jonathan Abrams in the first round still, and of course later on in that draft class, Hunter Renfrow and Max Crosby. It can be done. The good GMs find talent, and I think Brad Holmes is a good GM. I think he's very, very, very good at scouting and identifying talent. But I'm going to leave you with this, Dion. Last question. I haven't gotten your thoughts on the quarterback situation. And going into this season, I think it's very important that this football team is a 6-9 win football team. I think I'd rather this team be a 9-8 football team with Jared Goff and them picking roughly between 12 and 16, 17, and having draft capital. And if they needed to trade up to get a quarterback, damn it, they can do it. But I want to know your thoughts. 1, on Jared Goff. 2, are you considering a quarterback this year? And 3, do you believe the Lions can get a quarterback next year outside of the top 5, like I believe they can, considering just in the last 10 years, Kirk Cousins, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Justin Herbert, players like this we're taking outside of the top 5 in the NFL draft?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think you definitely can find a quarterback in those range, and I think a lot of it is what you come into. The situation they're put into is very important. So I'm with you. When I look at Jared Goff, I think this is a very big year because it's not only just like, oh, he needs to prove it to be the Lions starter. It's like he needs to prove it for his career. I mean, if we're really looking at, when you look at his age, this is a big year for him, and I think he understands that. But at the same time, yeah, I'm riding with Jared Goff this season. I think, Jared Goff is, we know he can win football games. We saw what he did through the second half of the season. And I think it's really beneficial to his side that we were able to get Ben Johnson back in the building, keep him around, keep kind of that continuity there. But I'd be riding with Jared Goff this season, trying to win as many games as I can this year. And we just evaluate Goff's performance. And if it's good, and if he plays well, it's like, hey, look, we put the pieces there and it's great. If not, like you're saying, I'd rather take a quarterback, put him in a situation where it's like, hey, our defense is pretty good. We can run the ball pretty well. We're going to put you in here where, yeah, we may have some questions, but, we do feel like we're not putting you in a terrible situation. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks when they're in that spot, they're able to come in and have much quicker success, or they're able to sit. Now, in this case, he may not be sitting if Jared Goff is no longer here. But I think this next year, you got to be looking at it like, bro, we should win some football games. There's no reason we win 3 football games if we focus on building around Goff again. If we did that, that's a very big problem. So I think that's something to look at. But for this year's draft now, there's no quarterback that I'm taking. I'll say this, you want the headlines? I don't know, but I don't think Malik Willis is a first-round quarterback. I don't have Malik Willis anywhere near that. But I think what you're betting on with Malik, of course, is the part that we don't really get a great look into, which is the character, all of those type of things that you're going to buy into.
This is why I
that
love
he
you,
can make
Dion.
it happen. on the field, he's not a first-round pick to me. I mean, I went. The last game I watched was North Texas. I was like, really, is someone really going to take this guy in round 1? I mean, that's the position you don't want to be in. Only quarterback that I like, and there's no way I'd take him anywhere near the first, and there's no way I'd take him in the first round. But is Carson Strong. So if I was forced to take a quarterback, I would take Carson Strong if it was like late round 3 or something. But I'd rather just build the team. That's my hope.
Fair enough.
If we take the quarterback at 2, I'll be a little disappointed. I'll just say that.
I'm with you, Dion. I'm with you. Thank you so much. Look, like Dion said, you can win if you build around Jared Goff. Do I think you can win multiple division titles, playoff games, Super Bowls? No, but that's not what is needed here right now. What is needed is Dan Campbell needs to show he can be a very good coach. And if you surround Jared Goff and Brad Holmes with the talent required, I think they can win you some football games. And then we can address the quarterback position down the line. The Titans just won 13 games with Ryan freaking Tannehill as their starting quarterback. So it can be done. Please don't at me. Dion, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I cannot wait to watch your reaction tomorrow night.
I'm so excited, guys. Thank you for having me on, man. Last note, hey, we saw Stafford win. We've seen the Saints win. We've seen the Titans win. You can do it. They can do it.
100%.
Build around them.
100%.